You know what I didn't do?
What?
Except this on Substack?
Oh shit, I just hit go live.
Maybe I did. Wait. Scheduled. Okay, maybe this is right. No, I
Oh
think we're
my
good.
gosh. Good morning, everybody.
Good
Welcome
morning.
to the Daily Whatever Show. This is the Monday Not Straightforward edition with myself, Lawrence Winnerman, and my amazing co host,
Myself.
Aidan Wharton. How are you?
There we go. I'm good. I'm good. How are you? We're a little frazzled this morning.
I, you know, we were just saying to each other, like, I've been up for hours and I still feel undercaffeinated and overly, foggy still. So, Um, whatever. I blame allergy
Yeah.
season or I don't know, something.
Something. I
Something.
I blame it's like we in New York just got another cold snap for a moment.
Did you?
And I mean, yeah, it was like 40 degrees last night, and I was walking around in a vest, and I was like, this is not it. We're so close, but it
Right.
keeps pulling us backwards.
Right. Spring is so close to being here. It is currently
Correct.
like 70 degrees. Not
Mm-hmm.
sunny, but 70 in Fort Wayne. And
Mm,
yeah, we've jumped right into allergy season apparently. So, I'm
yes.
cotton-headed and feeling a little bit crazy, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, cheers to allergies. Cheers to the coffee. Ted in the chat
You
says have a
did
coffee. So
accept the live. You are tagged on the live as being a
I did
person.
just now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Well, we have so much to talk about. We had a guest scheduled for today, Aidan, and I, there were some communication snafus, uh, but never fear. So much has happened over the weekend that deserves talking about.
Hmm.
And Dana, the lovely Dana Dubois, has agreed to jump in the bottom of the hour to help us talk about some of the Swalwell stuff, which is of giant import. Um, but I mean, Let's start gently, shall we? How was your
Hmm.
weekend, my friend?
My weekend was lovely. I yeah watched Drag Race on Friday. I went out dancing on Saturday, which was very needed.
Yeah.
And I think for the first time in a very long time that I can remember, my husband was out at his parents' house, and so I just had a Sunday morning to just do nothing, which couldn't tell you the last time that happened.
Right. And
Yeah,
also like there's something to be said for some alone time every once in a while, right?
yes, yes, it was very needed. I watched a lot of Sex in the City. I
Nice.
yeah made breakfast. I just sort of like relaxed, and then did I get behind on all the stuff I have to do for the week? 100%. But was it worth it? 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's back up for a second. You watched Drag Race. I have fallen off the wagon. I have watched like every English speaking season
Hmm.
of Drag Race since the beginning of time, and I am not up to speed on this season. Was this the finale? It's got to be close, right?
The finale is next week, or this
Okay.
current week. It was the Lollapalooza, the lip sync SmackDown for
Yes.
second,
Yes.
not second place, but for the $50,000 prize.
Right. Okay.
And what we didn't realize is that it was an all RuPaul Lollapalooza. So it was all of
Oh, got it.
RuPaul's music. And I think that sort of captures this season well because this season, the $200,000 prize money is from RuPaul's Match app game. Like she has sort of like a Candy Crush esque
Right. Right.
game. And so it's like the winner is getting the money from RuPaul.
Right.
At this
In tokens
point,
to play the game, right? It's
like
$200,000 of
something,
in-game tokens.
right? And then like the prizes for the last 2 weeks have also included like tickets to see the movie Stop That Train, which is like the first from the Drag Race universe. So now it feels like we're sort of getting into this self fulfilling brand thing
Right.
that feels hard to get out of. So then all of my friends were curious about why RuPaul didn't want to do other music. It was like now it's just licensing fees, it's cheaper, and that sort of encapsulates, I think, this season has felt very lovely. Like the queens are exceptional, they are having a lot of fun together, and there's a lot of banter, which I feel like has been missing in past seasons.
Yeah.
But something about it feels a little differently capitalistic this time.
it has definitely been trending that direction. I mean,
Hmm.
and it was always a giant self-promotion vehicle for RuPaul, let's be
Right.
honest.
And
But
I don't fault that.
no, for
Like
sure. Like
we're
I
doing what
mean,
we got to do.
like I said, I've watched every English speaking season. I've literally, what is that? I've watched probably 30 seasons of Drag Race at this point.
That's
All the
more
UK
than me.
ones, the Canada ones, you
Yeah.
know, UK versus the world,
Hmm.
Australia, the Down Under, like all of it, all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've tried watching Spain and France and the Netherlands,
Hmm.
with subtitles on and not always to
Yeah.
great effect, but I'm in. Like I'm
Yep.
100% target market, and I started watching this season, and my eyes glazed over a little bit. I was kind
Yeah.
of like, there's not a lot new or innovative that I'm seeing here.
Correct.
So
I will say it has given us one of the best lip syncers, I think, in a very, very long time. Juicy Love Dion is an incredible
yes,
lip sync. And for that alone, I'm very grateful. And
yeah,
some great personalities. Like there are a lot of queens who, even if none of them seem to be standouts for the crown at this point, but a lot of them are so charming that I would 100% go see them live.
yeah.
Which also Drag Race is sort of a launching pad for that sort of your career.
And if I recall, there are a lot of like Miami queens, like they're
A
queens
lot of
from,
Florida, a lot
yeah,
of Florida.
like
The joke is that
uh,
this season is Florida versus the world.
right,
Yeah.
right. But that's cool because I didn't know the drag scene was so poppin', and
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been back to Florida in years at this point, but it makes
Hmm.
sense to me.
Yeah. I
Miami,
will
Fort
say,
Lauderdale.
popping in the chat, Darlene Mitchell is exceptional. I think Darlene and Mikey, who are two of the top three, sort of have the most competitive edge. I think
Yeah, star
those two
quality.
are also very heartwarming. They're very charismatic. They're very funny. They're very kind. It's a very, very kind season of Drag Race, which
Yeah,
has been an
which
enjoyable watch.
is nice because I got to admit, like there's a certain sort of fun, campy element to the villainous drag seasons.
Hmm.
When somebody like Mistress or
Hmm.
is on being an absolute kind of you know what,
Menace.
yeah, total menace. But it's nice that they're having a kind season.
Right.
That feels appropriate.
Well, and you can't deny the fact that all of the queens now know what the show is. So nobody wants
Right.
to go out and be the villain because then they know that post show, no one's going to want to come see them.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we're
Absolutely.
all
Like
just working on our personal brands.
totally.
It's the world we live in
Right. Up to
now.
and including that some of the challenges are you're working on your personal brand.
Correct. I know. I do wish I don't know what I'm longing for with some of the challenges. Like hosting a daytime talk show, host a
Right.
rowdy evening at a gay bar,
Honestly,
do
like let
something closer to what the queens would do.
right.
But
Right. Yeah.
it's
Uh,
entertaining and it's so nice to have like a Friday activity to do.
it should be like hosting an open night at a gay bar, right?
Right.
And the challenge is like real world situations. You've got to deal with the rowdy thruple that's having a fight.
Wait, that's so good.
Somebody just
Because that's
crashed
like better
out in the men's
improv.
room, and you've got to navigate the paramedics coming in while keeping the audience attention
Oh my god.
focused.
Wait, did you ever watch Impractical Jokers
No,
on Comedy Central?
no.
It's these three guys, my sister used to watch it all the time, and they would always have an in-ear and they would have to go out in public, and usually it was one guy and the other two were like back in the van giving them instructions. And so they'd be like, you have to go up to that woman in the red dress and, ask her if you can hold her baby for a moment. And just like all of these things that were like really outrageous, really wholesome, but that funny sort of whose line is it anyway? Improv
Right, right.
in real time.
I
So
love
I
it.
think that's what Drag Race should do. Have like a little in
Yeah,
ear and be like, follow these instructions.
yeah. There you go. You're welcome, RuPaul. Aidan
Yeah,
just gave you the brilliant idea that's going to make next season a breakout. You're welcome.
but they'll never do it. It's so carefully crafted at this point.
Right.
You
It
know,
is. It is truly constructed. Yeah.
Yeah. I want them to give us a bake show where we know that if somebody has a bad week, they can go home. You know?
Yeah. And that really doesn't happen anymore on Drag Race. Like there's so many
No.
like second chances and
There
forgiveness
was
and
a big upset where the true front runner got sent home, but you could sort of tell from the edit that RuPaul just didn't really like her, and the home going made no sense.
mm,
So everyone was like, "This doesn't even feel like she had a bad week. This just felt like the producers and the show had their chance to be like, quick, she had a moment of weakness, take her out."
damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I feel like there are so many segues here. Speaking of moment of weakness and taking them out, let's talk about Viktor Orban getting crushed in Hungary or Eric Swalwell dropping out of the governor's race. Oh my
or
God.
Trump posting a picture of himself as Jesus this
Honestly, can
morning.
we talk about that for a minute? Like what?
Curing Jeffrey Epstein? That
Yeah, I reposted my favorite version of it, which is, the
mm-hmm.
dude laying in the bed has Epstein's face.
Right.
And yes, truly, it looks like, Jesus Trump curing Jeffrey Epstein in the hospital bed while white
Yeah.
America celebrates. I mean, like, the weird twist of the times that we're in is that the president of Iran tweeted the Pope on Twitter and basically said, the people of Iran are with you. May no one besmirch the name of the holy prophet Jesus. Like, even we in
Like,
Islam recognize that Jesus was an A-OK guy. Fuck that Trump guy. I mean, honestly, it's like he's
it's
uniting the world in peace
crazy.
just against us.
And like, what are we gonna do with the FIFA Nobel Peace Prize?
It seems like I don't want to be the first to speculate. It seems like maybe, Aidan, the FIFA Peace Prize isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Damn. I could have
I
sworn it had
know.
some credentials.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
But what are
very
credentials these
disappointing.
days? Yeah.
I mean,
Somebody
truly,
somebody
what are
slid in.
credentials these days?
I don't I was having a light disagreement with somebody on Instagram who said, "You're not an open relationship expert." And I said, "Okay." And then he was like, gave me a little rebuttal. And I was like, look, an expert means that you have experience, skill at an area of knowledge. I have well over a decade of this. I have all of my friends. I was like, and he was like, well, you don't have like credentials. And I was like, where can I get my open relationship degree? Like, please
Right.
tell me because it
Right.
doesn't
The
exist.
Open Relationship Institute. I've got my certificate
Like,
from the ORI.
I mean, I am getting, this is news. I'm getting my sex and relationship coach certification, but there's not an open
Nice.
relationship part. Thank you. I was like, I do need some sort of credentialing, but even all the credentials, they're sort of just made up.
Right. No, yes. Can tell you definitively that a lot of those, like it's just a bunch of people who are basically like, let's have an organization where we pay membership dues so that we can give each other certificates that say that we're experts in the thing that we want to say we're experts in.
Right.
Ta-da.
Which is not to discourage. I'm very excited to like do some learning again and sort of go back to school, as you will. And I'm
Yeah.
doing it through the Sexual Health Alliance, and they seem really incredible and lovely. So I'm very hyped.
Yeah, that's amazing. And like when we think about it, Ann Landers didn't have certification, right? Dan Savage, great
Dan Savage
guy,
was an
absolutely
actor.
adore him. He doesn't have certification as far as I know.
Right.
A college degree, but beyond that, like lived experience and sassy
A
attitude
voice.
and
Yeah.
right, a voice. Yeah. So,
Okay, sorry. Back to politics.
no, I
Back
mean
to
honestly, like,
credentials. Speaking of our most credentialed leader in chief.
yeah. Speaking of our most credentialed, yes, the president of the United States is officially insane. He,
Yeah.
he called the Pope weak on crime. Last night, if you missed it, Donald Trump posted on True Social, Pope Leo is weak on crime. And he doesn't like Pope Leo because he's weak on crime. And what does the Pope know anyway? Blah, blah, blah. It was like a screed against the Pope.
He's the Pope.
Right.
To quote Sandy in the chat, he's the Pope.
Right. He is
He's
the
supposed to be
motherfucking
soft on
Pope.
crime. He's supposed to be soft
Right.
on everything. I'm not even
Speaking of
religious and I know that.
credentialed, you know? I'm gonna say if you're voted by like the College of Cardinals to be the next pope, you got some kind of cred.
Something.
Right. Like we can all
Wow.
debate the validity of the Catholic Church and its meaning in our society, but he's the motherfucking pope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um Also over the weekend, we have to mention the fact that Eric Swalwell, candidate for governor, Democratic candidate for governor in California, um, had very, very serious allegations brought against him. And over the course of a kind of wild and crazy 72 hours, he has suspended his campaign for governor. He apologized while saying that all of the claims are false. And it is very likely that he is going to be expelled from Congress this week. So, yeah. I want to know, Aidan, like, in as much as you knew who Eric Swalwell was before
Uh-huh.
this, if you did, like, did anything go, like, did you have any kind of, not gaydar, but like fraud dar kind of go off or something?
Not really. I'm gonna like preface this with like a moment of, I think I'm tuned into the things that I'm really tuned into. Swalwell's not one of them. Certain areas of American politics are not one
Sure.
of them. I'm very tuned into like what's happening in queer American politics.
Right.
And I think this is a great moment to also sort of preface with being like, it feels like oftentimes we must know everything about everything. And
Right.
so I'm here also to say that like I don't have really, really strong opinions or a ton of knowledge about this besides what I read to come on the show this morning. And that's okay. Like it's okay that
Yeah.
I get to learn things from you, learn things from people in the chat. I didn't really know him besides like his name when he announced he was running, and I just like know him as a name, but didn't really know the significance. I know the significance of like what's happening in the California governor's race this year, but didn't like really know him outside of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's totally fair, and I like we have to kind of hold space and remember that there are 330 million of us in this country, and not everybody knows everything about every aspect of American politics. Like there are people
Right.
who are so busy living their lives that, the a
And they can't.
gubernatorial candidate on the other side of the country isn't their top
Right.
priority, you know?
And we've like people have started tuning it out, which again is the interview that I'm about to do after this for Getting Close is about burnout, political burnout, and how we start talking about politics
Oh
again.
God, yeah.
And I think a big reason that people have stopped talking about it is because they are so scared to not know enough information and be
Mm-hmm.
called dumb or uninformed or like they don't care, that they just stop talking about it altogether. So I think the more that we normalize not knowing things but still wanting to be a part of the conversation is the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell
I mean,
me more about what happened.
well, I mean, and let me be honest and say, like, I had a generally favorable impression of Eric Swalwell
Right.
because he's hot,
Sure. Sure.
right? Like, he's an attractive man,
Yeah.
and and so I tend to, when he appeared on TV, I generally be like, oh, it's that Eric Swalwell guy that I quite like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh, and so to kind of have these allegations appear, I really had a moment of like, okay, well, your spidey sense was not pinging for this, and
Right.
is that kind of my own damage because I want to believe
Sure.
that a hot guy is a good guy.
Well, it's like I'm going to pivot this now to my frame of expertise, which is also not expertise but pop culture. Did you watch Traders? Did we talk about this?
I have
Have you
not, but I
watched
heard it was great.
this season? Excellent. But every season is also a example of how people treat different classes of people. And there's been a lot of it sort of exposes all of these underlying subconscious biases that we have about
Right.
race, about gender. And the guy who won this season played a great game, but he was also really charming, really handsome, white, straight, muscular, and had everything going for him. So everyone was just like, oh, there's no way he could be a traitor. And I don't know why. I just feel it. I just like him. When in reality, granted, it's a much more complicated game than that, but it's like it really exposes our internal biases of, Mike, I liked him because he was a Democrat.
Right. Right. No,
you
exactly.
know?
Right. Like right. For me, it was, oh yeah, he's a Democrat. He's attractive, and he's at least giving voice to some of the things that I think our politicians should be saying, which are
Right.
not even that revolutionary points. They're just slightly better than, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. And
Sure.
yeah, it's, you
And
know,
even still, like those waves of affection for both of those people have also crested and waned.
yeah,
Hakeem Jeffries a year ago when he gave the speech, um, the longest speech ever, everyone was like, yes, and then nothing happened, and everyone was like, wait, you know,
yeah,
it's a quick up and down in the world of
yeah.
politics, but
It's
also,
crazy.
you know, I again, as I was reading the articles, they didn't like list the allegations. They are still allegations. We also believe the victims. It is a very complicated thing. And
Right.
also we can't like deny the double standard that this doesn't happen in the same way that it does to Republicans.
Right. Yeah, it was really so it was interesting. So the rundown for people who are maybe just getting up to speed on a Monday morning is kind of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday time frame. Rumor started kind of flying that something was going on with Swalwell, and then it became clear that there was a former staffer who alleged that there was really serious sexual impropriety, but no one kind of knew exactly what that was yet. And then Dana and I were invited to be on Saturdays for Sanity with Julie Roginski and Michelle Kinney this weekend. So on Saturday morning, we were on their show, and Julie, who used to work at Fox News and does spots on CNN, and knows everybody, uh, she and Gretchen Carlson have a foundation that they started that specifically helps women who are trying to navigate coming forward in kind of a Me Too moment, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
they're in a situation where they're going to basically be like the whistleblower or, kind of reveal impropriety for somebody who's in a position of power. And Julie said on the show, I talked to her last night. I talked to the woman who is making the allegations last night. And, Julie said, I've talked to thousands of women in over the course of being a part of this foundation, and this is one of the most disturbing
Right.
allegations that I've heard. Right, and she wouldn't. Julie didn't kind of get into details, and she, kept the privacy of the person, of course. But it became clear that this was real, right? Like it was
Right.
happening. Like Julie is somebody I trust implicitly. Julie heard it literally from the woman's own mouth,
Yeah.
and kind of ran it through her filters of what seems plausible and possible. And now it turns out three other women have come forward. There are up to 20 more who are coming forward. And it's as bad as you could get, right? It's
Right.
basically that he got these women drunk. There's an open question, speculation as to if he potentially drugged them. And then this woman and several of the other women who are coming forward have alleged that they were raped. They said no. They were lost consciousness. They woke up the next morning in a hotel room, kind of
Wow.
vaguely remembering what happened the night before. And you know, like this is a moment to prove that Democrats in a situation where we're finding a man that we may have previously admired or pinned some hopes to, uh, you know, we can say, get the fuck out. Like, this is not okay. We believe women. And so I think for me, that's what it comes down to, right? This isn't, I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing Al Franken's name being bandied about in the chat, right? What happened to Al Franken sucks because it was not expulsion worthy. But I mean, I don't know. This is maybe controversial. I'd rather that we have an accidental Al Franken along the way and prove that we're willing to believe women and, you know, hold men in power to account than do what the Republicans do, which is absolutely nothing.
Right. That is a pretty damning amount of evidence.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it seems pretty incontrovertible. I
Right.
got into a flame war with somebody on Substack, who I'm pretty sure is like a Russian bot. Telling me that I was helping the Republicans. It's like, no, actually, no. Like,
Yeah.
if this were trying to help the Republicans, they would have held on to it and they would have waited until
Right.
he was the candidate.
Right.
You know,
Also, Substack is such a hard place to verify who people are.
right?
I'm like many things that Substack can improve on, but that is also one of them.
Well, right. Like, I mean, I'm a person using my real name. There are literal,
Yeah.
countless hours of footage of me telling you my political positions. Like, if you want to think I'm a tool for the Republican Party, have fun. God bless you.
It's because you're wearing a red shirt. That's how we
Honestly,
know.
right, right. That says enjoy democracy while you still can. Yeah, yeah. I'm such a MAGA undercover.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's right. Like I don't even know like what there is to say beyond what's been said. Besides like I learned new information in the course of the last 5 minutes.
yeah. Well,
You know.
let's talk about this. I personally kind of feel like there's a natural alliance between gay men and straight women. And
Hmm.
maybe that's generational, maybe it's just me. I'd be curious to hear what you think. Like when it comes to situations like this, do you feel like as gay men, do we have a special obligation to kind of stand up with straight women?
Ooh. Yes, and I don't.
Somewhat.
I feel like I want Dana on for a majority of this conversation because I feel like there's a lot of nuance in a very in some ways, and in some ways there is not. And I recognize that this is also like a permanently recorded fixture on the internet that Substack is going to then cut clips out of, and then we cannot ignore the medium with which we are presenting this conversation.
Yeah,
That
for
being
sure.
said, I think any marginalized community understands what it is like to have power withheld in certain ways. I think
Hmm.
cis gay men are sort of, I'm not gonna say like the least marginalized of the marginalized, but there's obviously varying degrees of marginalization. And I also think that a lot of straight women, for a lot of gay men, played a really integral role in coming out and their personal journeys about being queer. And like my belief is that those with the most privilege and access within the marginalized communities should platform and create spaces for those who have less. So
Yeah,
I say yes. Yeah. What about you?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, 100%, right? Like I feel like um all the things you just said, like were were cis straight women a key part of my coming out process and some of my first and fiercest allies? Absolutely. And
Hmm.
am I in turn an ally to those women, when they, are going through some of the kind of hardest parts of their lives? For sure.
Right.
What interests me is um, kind of in a moment where push comes to shove, right? In a moment like
Hmm.
this, where it's kind of like, oh well, Eric Swalwell, but he's this rising Democratic star, and we can like kind of imagine that, he could win the California governorship and then does a great job and then runs for president and yay, like here's our kind of next gen liberal superhero, and then it turns out he's got feet of clay, right? Like he is not just feet of clay, but is a monster. And yeah, I think a lot of your analysis is really spot on. That as cis white, maybe passing, straight
Hmm.
gay men, like we have a lot of privilege, right?
Right.
And I feel like part of that privilege, part of using that privilege well, means understanding who your allies are and standing up for them, because you
Totally.
never know when the tables are turned and you're going to need allies to call on to get your back.
Well, I think what is sitting with me in this conversation is like how. how we move how we move forward, why we move forward, who we're moving forward for, right? Because I think, right, like Democrats and progressives have a much harder time than Republicans because we are trying to build things. We're all trying to build things differently, even though we're saying we're trying to move things in the same direction. Whereas Republicans are either holding things still or moving things backwards, right?
Right.
That's a much easier thing to take something apart than put it back together. And I feel like I have to choose my words very carefully. I worked for a company, and the whole interview process was looking at these huge moments of cancellation or accountability, shall we say? Let's reframe it from cancellation to accountability, and sort of analyzing. With this one, it was with companies and authors specifically, and analyzing what the companies did, how they could have done it, in which ways did they promote conversation and nuance, and which ways did we denounce it. And like reading the articles this morning on on the Times and in Ground News, it, it's hard because it feels like if you say there's nuance, you are also a monster. And
Mm-hmm.
yet the quicker we are to talk about things, the less nuance we can have in a way that is only focused on moving forward for the people who need it.
Say more
Does that
about
make
that, because
sense?
I'm not sure that I understand.
I'm trying to think of a subject or like a case that's less timely and controversial that I know a little bit more about.
Yeah.
Um like what was the one that they used? They used one of the examples I had to do research on was Teen Vogue, the editor in chief at Teen Vogue, who ended up getting hired, and then she got fired for a series of racist tweets years ago. It was also the editor in chief of Bon Appetit was another one. So these were like media companies and accountability.
Right.
And again, it's like,
By the way, Dana joined in the
oh,
background, so
Dana, get
I
in
can save
here.
you from this at any moment by adding Dana to the conversation. Good
Hi,
morning.
Queen.
Hello. What am I
Hello.
saving you from, Aidan?
Putting my foot in my mouth.
But you're not.
No,
That's the
no,
point. You're
no.
not putting your foot in your mouth. You're
No, I'm
saying
not.
there's nuance to situations, and there is, right? Yeah.
I'm wondering
Yes.
how we, and I would say, so what, let me get you caught up. I did a small amount of research this morning. Lawrence filled me in on the specifics of the Swalwell case that were not publicly available.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay, like, right, my perception has changed based on new information that I have now that I did not have at the beginning of the conversation.
Okay. I'm interested to hear what
And
your perception was at the beginning, but I'm guessing it's already been shared.
just like I didn't really know much about him,
Mm,
right? I was saying that when it comes to politics, my view is much more on queer politics, and
yeah.
I knew the name, but I had to like go back and be like, wait, who is he? Okay, great. He's this guy,
You
this guy,
know,
this guy, and what happened?
don't don't feel bad about it. There's so many things to be keeping up with. And you're in
Totally.
New York, he's in California, like just know like rising star of the Democratic Party,
Right.
Right.
attractive man, progressive, super on our side, right, ladies?
Right.
Mm-mm.
And it's so I'm just like I'm just like, why can't these men fix themselves? That's the
I
real
mean,
takeaway.
honestly,
Why does it I'm keeping like, why does it keep happening?
Because
right.
men, when they come into power, it's an I don't want to say all men. It is alarming how many
Yeah.
men, when they come into the highest levels of wealth and or power,
Right.
their chosen path is let's take advantage of women and kids.
Right.
That's why all the women you know right now who are paying attention are not okay, because we're seeing that just roll out in real time with no consequences, none,
Right.
Yeah.
at least in the US, for any of the men
Right.
Right.
who are behaving very, 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 very badly.
Well, Swalwell now a case of actual
Yes,
consequences where
Right.
true.
many of his endorsements got withdrawn over the weekend. He suspended his campaign last night. Um,
Okay,
like
fair. I was referring more to the
Yeah.
Epstein files. You're right.
no,
Yes.
Swalwell,
Epstein files absolutely. Like
yeah.
we are seeing that play out. Like that is the background music to this entire thing, right? Is that
Right.
we are trying to hold powerful and wealthy men to account through the Epstein files, and it's not happening.
Yeah.
And then, Swalwell comes along, and there's this weird cognitive dissonance of like, oh, okay, so the Democrats are potentially holding their guy to account, but, uh, you know, in
Right.
the meantime,
I seem to see this argument online of like, well, so long as Trump is still president, why are we going to go after him?
I,
Okay, that I'm trying to turn my laptop on. That's way too bright. You know what I mean? Like as if punishing one doesn't make sense when the other worse one is still
Right.
is still the president.
right.
And I just don't think that's the way this works. But
No.
I get the indignation around all of it of like what he did was bad, and also we've been watching bad rollout for years now with no consequence. So why are we taking out our guy?
Yeah.
Right.
For me, that's a really simple
Yeah.
answer, which is
Yes.
we are showing you how it's done. This is how
Yes.
people who actually hold people accountable behave. Like
Yeah.
he clear, is he innocent until proven guilty? Sure. But are we all adult enough to recognize that there is a pattern of evidence that we are, with a high degree of probability going to assume ends up with him actually being guilty of everything that he's been accused of? Also,
Yes.
yes.
I
And
wanted
if
to
that
read a
is the
quote.
case,
Yeah. Sorry, go
you
ahead.
know, can we
I
not
do.
hold him to account? And what that
Mhm.
means, we're not saying he goes to jail. We're not saying that, he's going to be strung up by his toes. We're saying he can't continue his run for governor. He can't hold a position of power, and he's
Right.
probably going to lose his job in Congress. You know what, Eric Swalwell? You're getting off
You
pretty
do.
easy so far. You need to shut the fuck up and take it.
Right. You're not going to, that this isn't a criminal case yet, which I'm
Right. You have not yet been found guilty in a court of law and thrown into prison,
right.
but do we all think that there's a decent chance that this is in fact true? Because the sources are credible. They have been
Yes.
vetted by CNN and the San Francisco Chronicle and other journalistic sources. There's an army of lawyers that has vetted these allegations. The key woman making them is willing to testify under oath. You're kind of cooked, Eric. It seems like
Yeah.
it's true.
Yes. That's why when people are like, but where's the evidence? I'm like, have people forgotten how to critically read the
I
media?
honestly, I wonder if people have
Because this isn't like
forgotten
you or me
critical
up here
thinking.
being like, we're sure he's guilty. This is like CNN and the San Francisco Chronicle. And I can only imagine the legal reviews
Right.
and the leadership reviews that like the scrutiny that was under every word of the story.
Yeah.
I did want to
CNN
read a
about
quote
to be
before.
purchased by yeah.
Oh God,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
So Christy Coulter, who was a guest on our show a few weeks back on Fine Feminist Hour, amazing memoirist and writer, et cetera, also a friend of mine, put this on Facebook last night. I thought it was really relevant to this conversation as a bit of backstory. Um, I'm trying to decide how much to say here. I think Lawrence knows where I'm going with this. There was a case here in Seattle of not a politician, but a local rock star, Lothario, who was known for years as a womanizer,
Mhm.
but who she dated for a couple of years. Um, and it came out, one woman came out and was like, actually, he assaulted me. And then it was just a chorus of Me Too's. So a very parallel
Mhm.
situation, except musician instead of, and like,
Politician.
yeah, not like super
Right.
famous. It's not like a super famous musician, mostly local musician. And Christy helped. She was sort of the kingpin or the queen pin, I guess, the one who all of the women came to, and she connected them to our local NPR station, who did a very big story. That backstory is important to know the context of what she's written here. She says, for every 1,000 rapes in America, there are just 11 arrests. So we have that first. Even if we assume some percentage of rapes are by serial offenders, that's still a staggering number of violent criminals walking around free. When the media investigation I was adjacent to was underway, the lead reporter said something I'll never forget. And then she quotes, in a country with essentially no justice system for rape, journalism is the closest thing most survivors will ever get to justice. Based on her previous experience reporting on sexual assault, she also told the survivors that they would be making it safer for other women to come forward, including others who may have previously believed they were the only ones. And I like that quote about this is the only justice they get is in public opinion, because
Right.
so few actually get arrested, is really relevant here. Because people, what I keep seeing is like, where's the proof? Where's the proof? And it's like, well, we weren't in the bedroom with them.
Right.
If that's the proof
Yeah.
you're asking for, like a murder weapon, um, you're not going to get it,
Right.
Right.
right?
But what you do have is the story that broke
Yes.
this morning, which is that 50 former staffers of Eric Swalwell signed a letter saying that based on everything that they had seen over their courses of time working with him, the accusations were likely true.
It's pretty damning.
It's pretty fucking damning,
It's so
right?
damning. And I mean, the main woman in question, I know that, sorry about Kira, I'm tragically out of treats. So she's going to have to wait a minute. She already got her one.
What would you
I know.
get?
I have more in the other room. I just don't want to get up right this minute. Um, I know that the corroborating evidence is super damning for the one. There's like texts that she sent to her friends and to her family. Like
Mhm.
right when it happened, I was sexually assaulted. It was Eric. She went to her doctor in the same time frame, got a pregnancy test, got STD tests. Like this happened.
Right.
And as provable as it is, um, short of there being cameras in the room filming it, or her having done a rape kit, which I don't think she did, which we have a big history of just throwing those away in this country anyway. Let's not
Right.
forget that. Um, like this happened. And the fact that there are so many women raising their hands who are like, yep, uh, only underlines the likelihood of it. So I don't
Right.
have a lot of patience right now, especially for the women who are coming forward and they're like, but where's the proof?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It. Go ahead, Aidan. Sorry. I. Sounds like you're.
Oh no, I think you. I don't. I think you should go.
No,
Because
you
I mean,
go.
I got a fuck ton to say. I was in I fought a Russian bot this weekend on Substack, back and forth. Um, you know, I think the piece that's most frustrating to me was the um, the kind of instant question that came out about whether or not this was being timed by somebody, to
Yeah.
manipulate the governor's race. For those who don't know, California has a jungle primary, which means the top two of any party who get the most votes during the primary go on to the general. So it could be two Republicans. In California, it's usually two Democrats. Actually, for the governor's race, it's usually one of each in California. But right
Yeah.
now, two Republicans are leading in the polls, and it's
Right.
because there are like four Republican candidates, and there are 17 Democrats, right? So
Right.
all the Democrats are polling at like 2 and 3%. Swalwell was in the lead because he was at 13, but he was
Right.
still behind the top two Republicans. So, if anything, what this does is help consolidate the field because it gets a Democrat out. All of the Democrats currently running seem to be kind of imbued with the hubris that is the doom of our time. They all think that they are the sacred one who must stay in the race because
Yes.
only they can
Yeah.
consolidate the votes and be the one who wins. And so for people who are kind of questioning the timing of this is not a Republican op, right? Like if it were,
Right.
they would have waited for him to become the candidate, and then they would have pulled the rug out from under him in October when Democrats
Right.
were absolutely fucked and had no backup plan.
Right.
This is not a Republican op. This is the
No.
journalistic process kind of grinding through its gears slowly. The lack of courage we see currently in American journalism, manifesting once again. It really literally took this whistleblower coming forward and putting her life, her reputation, her livelihood, her
Yep.
name on the line, and so I think the timing aspect, like anyone who's wondering about that, get that out of your head. This is not
Right.
about the political timing of the race. It's
I
about
agree.
it takes a lot to actually make an accusation of this magnitude and
Yes.
have it vetted and get it out into the media.
Agreed.
Although I wonder,
Sorry, I'm
like, would it?
fussing with my light and glasses because
Oh, good.
I'm trying to make use of the emerging natural light this time of year here in Seattle, and it's not quite there for me. It's really cloudy and dark out still.
Uh,
Okay. What
but I
were you
also
going to
like
say,
wonder,
Aidan?
like, would this have happened were he not running as well? Like, I think the timing has like a small portion to do with it. I don't think it's a Republican operative bot, but I also don't know if
Yeah.
this would have
Yeah.
broken the same way were he not as visibly public in this particular moment in
Oh,
No,
time.
we know in this
for
case that's
sure.
definitively true because the
Right.
woman who's coming forward said she couldn't bear the thought of him potentially being the Democratic nominee, right?
Right.
Like, because
Right.
what she knew about him was so disqualifying that she couldn't stand it. And so, yes, 100%, she came forward when she did because he was starting to catch fire in the primary field. And, as happened with women who came forward when Bill Clinton was catching fire in his
Yeah.
primaries, that we didn't really listen to, and the
Mm-hmm.
women who came forward around Trump that we didn't really listen to. Absolutely, the campaign was a factor in her calculation, for sure.
Yeah. And this would have been an earlier story. What's been so interesting to me, Lawrence, is I love Mrs. Frazzled as a content creator. I follow her on Substack. I've been watching her reels forever. She's very funny. You all may know her as the catch a bubble. She's like a kindergarten teacher in real life or elementary school, and she does all these very funny videos where she'll narrate political events as if the person in question is like Trump or JD Vance is one of
Mm-hmm.
her kids, and she's like,
Yeah.
Donald, we don't do it. Is it nice when we do that? She's very funny. She also does very serious reporting on educational news. So
Mm-hmm.
I like to follow her, and she's interviewed like, I mean, if she had Elizabeth Warren on, like she does get really
Wow.
big names on her show. But I love her humor. I love her intellect as she researches and interviews all these candidates. She's been trying to break this story for months, and I didn't realize it. I don't know how I missed it. I think it just goes to show what a crowded field Substack is right now, that it's so hard to catch air, that I missed
Yeah.
one of my favorite creators, who was very much trying to bring the story forward. And what I have learned this weekend is that she brought this news to all kinds of legacy media outlets, and every one of them turned it down like a while ago. So as soon as, and she's in California too, so I know she's been interviewing other candidates. She's been complaining pretty loudly that people are all saying like, make the field smaller, tighten the field without understanding much about the candidates who are there and not giving them space to debate. So she's not
Mm-hmm.
thrilled that it seemed a given that it was just going to narrow in based on name recognition, where
Right.
she was raising some of the other voices, which, as you pointed out, Lawrence, on Saturday, are a lot of minority voices too, like
Right.
the candidates who are not the
Yeah,
white men.
Xavier Becerra,
Yeah.
used to be was Health and Human Services Secretary. Antonio Villaraigosa used to be the mayor of LA, a very successful mayor of LA. Betty Yee is the current Secretary of State, I believe. They're excellent candidates of color in this race, and uh, and the three kind of prominent white people, Tom Steyer, a billionaire, Eric Swalwell, and Katie Porter, have kind of gotten most of the air and the news.
Mm-hmm.
So read into that what you will. But Aidan, you were making a point earlier before Dana joined us that I'd kind of like to come back to. We were talking about
Oh
allyship,
no.
right?
Oh
And
yeah.
Don't be
no,
scared.
it's a good point because you were talking about like, the Democratic Party is such a big tent. Are we all working towards the same thing? And I think it depends on like kind of the zoom level you're looking at, right? Like when you zoom in on
Mm-hmm.
our lives, does it look like we're building toward the same things? Maybe not. Um, but I think when you zoom out, all of us really just want to be okay, to be loved, and to be in a solid relationship thing, whatever that looks like for whatever makes you happy. And your family is okay, whether you want a family that includes children or not, or whether your family is, you and your three husbands and all the pups that you guys corral together, like whatever, a decent job, right? Enough money, like the sense that if I get sick, there's going to be a healthcare system that is going to, you know, be available to, right, exactly, that I'm going to be able to access. God forbid something terrible happens, that when it comes to end of life for me or my partners, that we can all be there for each other in whatever way is most meaningful for us, that I can lead a life that allows me to be the happiest and best person that I'm supposed to be, right?
Right.
Women want that, men want that, gay people want that, straight people want that, trans people want that, black and Latino and brown people and, Asian folk, like everybody fucking wants that.
Right.
And Democrats are working to try and build it. And Aidan, to your very good point that you made earlier, Republicans are really just trying to take that all away, right? They're trying to
right. Or hold it
pull
still.
the bricks out of the wall and get us back to a point where white men controlled everything, including women, where gay people weren't really allowed to exist, or if we did exist, it was, in dark alleys behind dumpsters and no place else. The same place abortions happened. So I think it gives me hope that the Democratic Party could look at a situation like this, as egregious as it appears to be with Eric Swalwell, and say, no, you got to go. Like, this is just damaging to everybody.
It gives me hope too, Lawrence. And I really like what you said there. It's we all want our pillars to feel solid.
Right.
To put it in the language I like to use of, like, you have your home pillar, your work pillar, your financial pillar, your sex, relationship, friendship, all these things that sustain you. We all just want them to feel as solid as possible. And while the government doesn't control and shouldn't control all of them, it shouldn't block your access to any of them either.
Totally.
It should enable them and get out of the way for the other ones. Like, you don't like who I want to marry? Not my problem. I know who I want to marry.
Right.
You don't like that I don't want to have kids? Not my problem. Get out of my way.
Right.
We all have the right to determine the pillars that work for us.
And I should go on the record saying, like, I didn't mean to sound scornful. If you want 3 husbands and a room full of pups that you can corral, like, that's A-okay. Like, God bless you,
I kind of want that, Lawrence.
If you can fucking make that work and you want to actually go marry those 2 people, you should do it, by God. It's fucking hard.
So if you're going to have 3 husbands, you're going to not just be a throuple, you're going to be a quadruple?
Quartet.
Yeah.
A little polycool.
A quartet.
Yeah.
I like the polycule is too generic. I need something that denotes the 4.
Mm-hmm.
Quad.
Quartet. A quad.
Or a quartet. I like that. Okay.
I'm like,
3 husbands sounds beyond exhausting, though. I have to tell you, I don't even know.
It does.
Yeah.
Or really fucking great Saturday night.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Assuming, I'm just envisioning that I'm Lucky Pierre in that situation. So.
Obviously, you are.
Yes, you're the one. If some of them are just metamors, you're the common. Mm-hmm. You're the fulcrum of this squad. Right. They're all after you.
In my fantasy, that's where we're going. Yeah.
That's the only way it would work for me. I think I couldn't be like one of the ones.
Balanced.
Yeah, I need to be the molecule in the middle that connects, that holds everything together.
Yes. Yeah. Not likely going to happen.
What a tricky, I'm like, it's interesting. I don't know if I can separate this thought from this circumstance. And I wonder what, like, the generational divide is doing. The thinking in my head, right, is like, anytime this happens, my first gut feeling is like, fuck, the Democrats are screwed. Like, it's another way that like, when I think about the Republicans, and this is not saying he does not deserve to be punished, but when I think about the Republicans sitting there ousting him from Congress when their transgressions are equally worse, if not worse, like, that just, like, my little justice heart in that particular very specific lane gets so frustrated. And then I think why a lot of people are so quick to argue about it is because they're like, but our hope, like, what do we do now? And I think, the first election I could vote in was 2016. And so I've sort
Oh,
of just like watched the Democratic Party fumble into disarray and be like, well, is it going to be Gavin? Who's going to be next? Who's going to be next? Who's going to be the rising star? And it's like, no one. We
right.
are like so screwed. And like that has been my only political feeling since I could vote.
Right. I
And going
totally.
back to like last week, Ben being like, that's a cop out. We have to keep fighting. And that's not to say that we don't hold people accountable, but it's just like, how do we hold him accountable, take action, and then like find better people, platform better people? Like, I don't really know if I have like a question or a statement. And if I'm overstepping or offending, like, please call me out on
No,
that.
no.
Both of
Yeah.
you
Let
and the
let me
chat.
maybe
Like,
give you a little bit of hope, which is
great. I need
there's a
it.
Republican named Tony Gonzalez from Texas who
Mm-hmm.
is
Oof. Yeah.
had an affair with a staffer. It looks like some really bad things happened, up to and potentially including that he may in some way be involved in her death.
Oh,
And
wow.
he is still in Congress, right? All of this came to light, and he did the Republican thing and he stuck it out. And the
Right.
Republicans, being Republicans, were like, oh, we're not going to vote to expel him because we've got so few votes as it is, blah, blah, blah. Well, it now looks like he's going to be voted out as well because
Oh,
us holding Eric Swalwell to account is going to force the issue so that I think
sure.
what Democrats are doing is saying we will or we will put to floor a motion to vote out
Mm-hmm.
Eric Swalwell, but it's got to be Tony Gonzalez too.
Right.
Yep.
And the Republicans will probably go
Okay.
along because in their math they're seeing it's a 1-for-1 loss, right? Like
Right.
we lose one, they lose one. And that sucks, but I would argue that we can't not hold our people accountable. We
Totally.
must do it because it is the only bar and leverage and moral ground that we've got to stand on for moments like this where we can begin to set the example for this is what you have to do. This is how you bring it down.
So true,
100%.
Lawrence. And what you're saying, Aidan, is grief. And
Right.
I made a note adjacent to this last night that I posted to Substack. And it didn't travel very far because it was a little bit long. You have to keep your notes like this big or nobody reads them.
I hate the
But
algorithms.
I know, but the idea of it was for women, it's
Right.
easier when it's, you know, the Epstein class, we know they're enemies of women.
Right.
And their action, their legislation and their words matched their actions. It's quite clear to someone like me that these are abusers. These are men to avoid. And so the fact that they are abusing women and kids is like, well, of course, look at the laws they're putting into place. And
Right.
it's awful knowing that to be clear, it's awful knowing that they're at the highest levels of power, but you know what to expect.
Yeah.
But with someone, when there's a progressive candidate who is saying all the right things and is advocating for legislature that you're like, yes, my king, go do your work. And then you find out that he is also a predator.
Yeah.
There's a grief with
Yeah.
that because it's like political gaslighting at scale.
Right.
Right.
It's off-putting and it makes you question reality a bit more because you're like, but wait, you've been saying all the right things, you've been doing all the right things, but behind closed doors, you're just as bad as the other guys.
Right.
And I feel that same sense of grief with what you're saying of you're like, I have come of age and there has been nothing and no one. So if there was a rising star, hopeful, like this is the candidate we all want to get behind and he's ruined, it is a gut punch. And I think it's okay to acknowledge grief and
Yeah.
fear to a certain extent of
Yeah.
like, and indignation of like, but why are we getting rid of ours when they're not getting rid of theirs?
And
Um,
like, oh
but
yeah,
sorry, just we do have to keep holding them to account. We can't just
100%.
say, oh, but if you abuse women, like promising young man, we can't let anything harm him. Like, no, we
Right.
can't. Our party cannot do that. But it's okay in the moment to just acknowledge, like, oof, this is extra hard.
Right. And like again, I didn't really know who he was
Yeah.
before all of this happened. So it's not like I have a connection to him. It's just sort of like, right, that global sense of like, oh, our politics, which then again,
Right.
to take it back to last week, is like, okay, if this is the grief and if this is the despair, what are you going to do to roll your sleeves up and do something about it?
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think is the lesson to take from it. And, you know, to look at Hungary as an example of hope, right? 79.5% of the voting population turned out in their election yesterday
Wow.
and
Yeah.
swept Viktor Orban out of power in a way that and here's the thing to understand. Orban has been in power for 16 years. Everything the Republicans are doing here, he did. He
Right.
redistricted, you know, he gerrymandered, he packed the courts, he did all the things. And they voted in such overwhelming numbers that he could not cheat. He could not lie, he could not steal. It was so obvious that he had lost that he had to call and concede. You know, and that's what has got to power us. That's what we need to remember that we're doing this November when we, like, somebody made the point that it would be like kind of an instant Democratic supermajority in Congress. Yeah, that's what Hungary did. They now have basically an opposition, you know, now the incumbent party, or soon to be the incumbent party, 2/3 majority in Congress. They can literally rewrite the Constitution in Hungary. They can do everything they need to do. We can do that here in November. We can have House and the Senate back and supermajority, you know, in both of those bodies. We could do it.
You guys, what are we going to do if that happens? Like, I feel like we need to have.
We're going to fix everything. We're going
plan.
to fix every. No,
but I mean, what are we
thing.
specifically going to do? I feel like we need to like put it out there. If like, if this happens, I will.
Oh yeah.
It has to be something big.
That's good things.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what pledge I can make that will match the magnitude.
Warrant the joy.
Right.
Which is a great, and I'm just going to plug this because I'm about to go interview him. And I think the chat will appreciate Brian Derrick, who is on Substack and Instagram. He founded a company called Oath, which is a company that allocates your small scale grassroots donations to the races that need it most rather than the races that are most public. So everyone go check him out. He's an incredible, incredible friend, incredible human. And I think the work he's doing is like the closest that I have felt to really moving the needle in a positive way.
Oh my gosh. Bring him on. Yeah. Tell him to come on our show if he wants to.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Oath.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oath.vote. I got to run.
Got to go. So thank you, everybody. Thanks, Dana, for jumping in.
Thanks for having me on a Monday. Love you, mean it. Bye.